All right, welcome back, Cosmo Lacrosse Nation. Hey, Drew Stevenson here, founder, head coach of Cosmo Lacrosse, and also the head coach for boys lacrosse over at Lewis Palmer High School. Hey, I want to get a couple minutes of your time. This is mainly for parents, but players too should know this and recognize it. We're talking player gear, protective gear, footwear, protective wear for boys in the groin area. We'll talk about. So, without further ado, we're gonna start right off. Okay, first, we play on grass, natural grass and dirt and synthetic turf. Good cleats like this. My son's got a wider foot. I recommend the New Balance stuff, but Nike, Under Armour, all those guys make a good cleat. Okay, making sure they're rubber soled. Okay, they should be slightly flexible to a hard push, but other than that, good shoes for lacrosse. Critical. Okay, forever there's ever indoor type of thing. Don't show up in gym class with your running sneaker. I wouldn't even call running sneakers. They're just kind of day-to-day footwear. My high school guys are the worst party of being guilty for this. Okay, these are bad shoes. Fine for every day, but for any type of athletic movement, any type of playing lacrosse, forget it. These are terrible. They have little lateral stability. You risk hurting small bones in your feet. And trust me, boys, if you bust up a small bone in your foot, you're out for a season. There's no quick healing of that. And those are life-threatening injuries too in some cases, where sometimes they just don't ever heal correctly, and you'll never return to normal. So footwear is critical. So a good cleat, like I said, my son's got a wider foot like his old man. We go with the New Balance. They got a good wider boot, but Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, whatever, is a good move. And then good sneakers, basketball. Just think basketball, low, mid, or high top. Good lateral stability stuff. You can use that actually on turf too if kids are more comfortable in those, and they usually work pretty well. So basketball, cross trainer type shoes. All right, moving up. Okay, this is a protective, you can kind of basically call it a girdle, made by Shock Doctor. I don't get sponsored or paid by anybody here. You'll see a bunch of different brands. So I'm talking to you as a dad first and a coach, lacrosse guy second. So protective cup slides in and out. You can wash these things regularly, moms and dads, which we know for older boys they don't do often, wish they would. But great little hip protection, just a little extra padding for hip and the thigh and even the tailbone sometimes. You might land hard on the rear end. Big props to this. These aren't cheap. I think they're around 40, 50 bucks a piece, but buy them a little bit big, and they'll last at least a good year or two. So, but again, very important to have a protective cup for our young men playing the game. All right, moving up the body. Shoulder pads. These are by Maverick. I've got a couple different brands here. Maverick, it makes a good youth one. They all do. I want to say these were 30, 40 bucks, brand new, maybe 50. Don't quote me on that, but I can't recall. But you don't have to spend anything more than that. When you get up to the higher level, high school lacrosse and beyond, if your son plays in college, most likely college will be picking up the bill anyways. But this stuff is just a good starter cup. If you do buy used, and I encourage parents, we'll talk more about it in a second with gloves and arm pads, go to Play It Again Sports, or even buy something offline or online, excuse me. But make sure this is a chest protector. This is for the sternum. Okay, this is critical. Don't ever buy something that doesn't have a good hard plate for the chest. Okay, this protects the heart. Hard lacrosse ball comes and hit it. There has been deaths in lacrosse. One that I can recall, played for Cornell a bunch of years back. Great book, by the way, and maybe I'll tell you about that. But George Moriarty from Cornell passed away in a game because it hit him right in the chest, didn't have this type of protection, and it was a split second, one in a gazillion chances it happened. So that's the only time I recall. But just make sure that's a good hard plate. All right, arm pads. Okay, this is and gloves. I'll talk about at the same time. For our younger guys, don't go spending a ton of money. Leather gloves, those are more expensive. They're for the higher end guys that play more regularly, high school and college. These are kind of soft though. They're pretty flexible, and the kids aren't playing a really high end level of checking and body checking and stick checks and things like that. So my son wears these. Good brine pair, good intro pair. When he gets bigger, sure, I'll get him some bigger, better stuff because as we'll talk about in a second with the helmets, this is a man's game, and you do get checked pretty hard sometimes as you grow and progress. But for our young guys, I would say middle school on down, you can get away with this, okay? But Brine, Maverick, STX, even Nike now, and some other bigger names Under Armour, they're all making this stuff. So, but check out Play It Again Sports if you don't feel like paying the price for new. I think I got these at Play It Again Sports, $5 or $10 each, and they're good used, and he's been wearing them now for 2 or 3 seasons. All right, another pair of STX, relatively cloth base. There's a hard cup for the elbow, but good stuff. All right, I'll leave the helmet for last. Sticks. for our beginner sticks, okay, this white one here is made by String King. This is part of our Learn to Lax program. $70 retail now. It just went up from 60 to 70. We still get a good price. All I do is pass along the cost onto the parents buying it, which is half price. So come in for our brand new players, come to our Learn to Lax program. It's basically a free stick, and you get the coaching included. But another beginner stick here. This is made by Under Armour. Me being in the game as long as I have, I've kind of loosened up and stretched out the pocket. But it's a good kind of medium mesh. It's not real hard. It's not super soft, but forms a pretty good pocket. This is a good beginner stick, $40 to $70. Somewhere in that range. Don't go spending hundreds of dollars on a brand new stick. The middle school and younger players. As they say in lacrosse, I do it all the time. It's not the wand, it's the magician. All right, so it's the guy playing with the ball and getting reps with it. Even a good beginner stick like this. Okay. Last but not least, okay, this is our Ranger helmet for our Youth Ranger program, all the way up to our high school guys. Okay. For anybody who's watching who maybe has a son at the high school level that I coach, get this helmet. Okay, this is a Cascade R. All right. So it's right up here. There's an S now. It's a newer version, very similar, basically the same technology, maybe a few slight changes, but generally the same. All right, so it's a flat matte black shell, visor. It's got the orange chin and the black face mask. This is actually cheaper than going chrome, so save a few bucks for our parents in that regard. Plus, it's just more in line with our colors. But this stretches all the way down to our youth program. But back to the safety. Okay, save your money on arm pads, gloves. Okay. And buying maybe some used stuff from Played Against Sports that will you'll get a year or two out of it, or even a couple seasons, or one season for that matter. But this is where you spend your money. Okay, again, I'm talking to you as a father. Upgrade to a good helmet. Okay, if it doesn't look like this in general, there's some newer ones by STX and Warrior that are due, but I think Cascade's obviously the big boy in the market. Get these helmets. Okay, even my son, this is an adult helmet. I could wear this, but I can actually shrink it down in the back here. It's adjustable for my son, who is now just turned 8. So, he'll still be growing. He'll use it for a couple of years. But this is where you spend your money, moms and dads, okay? Yes, they are $200 give or take, depending on where and when you buy them. But, again, the head injuries in this day and age, we talk about, the different possibilities of concussions and things like that. It's worth the money, okay? If you're, basically a helmet should last for, 3-4 seasons. Maybe that's a course of a couple years, depending on how often your son plays. But go out and spend this money. Save it on the gloves, the arm pads, the shoulder pads. Like, you can buy these used all the time. Played Against Sports or somewhere inexpensive, but like I said, they're not even that expensive, brand new. But this is where you want to spend your money. I can't say it enough. I get scared when I've seen kids show up at our camps, and I've been doing this a long time. I had a young man show up last year at a camp in a baseball catcher's helmet. Not that it's not safe for that sport. I'm sure it was very good, but these are ideal for lacrosse. So do us a favor, us coaches. We want to get you guys out and play lacrosse. We want it to be enjoyable. Not to mention they just fit better. The helmet I grew up on is like wearing a cinder block on your head. And so now with this newer technology, great stuff. This is a big advance. So that's really it. Player safety from good footwear, protective cup, stick, arm, shoulder, chest protectors, goalie stuff. I'll talk about it maybe in another video. But again, back to this helmet, priority number one. All right, and hey, just get Patriots. I think Patriots go all white and then they decal it up. So if you're a Patriot parent, check it out. Look at their website. But again, this is for youth all the way up through our high school guys. Getting these R's, and they do have a junior for our youngest players. They do have a smaller version of this for our smaller players. But again, my son who's 8, he'll be wearing. He wears the same helmet, just in a different color right now. But you can't go wrong with a good, solid, brand new helmet. Safety, fit, comfort, you name it. So that's really it. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you guys all at a Cosmo event real soon. Take care.